Somebody must have really messed up.
He might be the best interior pass rusher in the history of the National Football League.
Pump fake, looking right, looking left. Sack at the 8-yard line.
He was the quintessential undrafted talent for me. High motor, never took a play off. I thought he was the greatest defensive tackle of this era.
He did not make the combine. No one thought he could play.
No way, man. No way. I worked too hard.
In 1990, John Randall signed with the Vikings as an undrafted free agent. Scouts said the Texas A&I product was too small for the NFL.
Hey, you better? I hope he's not. I'm not short. I'm tall, man. Look at them tall ass legs.
We saw a guy who played like he was 6'5" or 6.
6'6", man. I'm 6'6".
And played like he was 320.
Set your big ass down.
Forget about what the stat sheet said.
He was a very disruptive player.
Greg is back to pass, pressured by Randall, tipped up, picked off, intercepted.
And he was really, really quick and really difficult to block.
And who would you guess would be in the middle of it? Johnny Randall. Trouble sack by Randall. Great play, John Randall.
What he lacked in size, Randall made up for with sacks.
Here's a guy that had 138, I believe, sacks as a defensive tackle, not as a defensive end.
Hey, that don't leave a mark.
History will never really give it its full due.
Sometimes those guys who are an inch short and 20 pounds light, they make up for it by having a gigantic chip on their shoulder.
Everyone needs like an enemy and, a nemesis. Being undrafted was his, so he took it out on everybody.
Put my 40-inch pipe over your...
I think John Randall is the most underrated player to ever play a game of football. I can say that because I go against him twice a year.
Here's Barr back and Randall sacks.
You talk to the guys who played against John Randall, and they thought he was more of a handful week in, week out, every Sunday than just about any defensive lineman in a game.
Well, I tell you what, there's no way you're going to go into a game and say, okay, we ain't going to worry about John Randall.
I'm glad that for whatever reason, I never had to play against him. His relentlessness, his passion, the type of relentlessness and passion you can only get if you're a hungry, undrafted player.
He was a volcanic NFL player.
Oh, my.
Blow it up! Blow it up!
Of all the players I've shot over 35 years of working for NFL Films, John Randall is by far the most interesting. And I can't think of a close second.
Knight Rider! Knight Rider!
For all the talking he did,
Big dogs are in the house!
for all the trash talking,
Regulator! Mount up! We're coming!
for all the great NFL film he provided with his mouth.
But I'm telling you, man, you should hang out. We should go fishing together.
The guy could really play.
That is the great John Randall, Hall of Famer in 2010, undrafted. He was a 7-time All-Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro sack leader. He had over 130 lifetime sacks, 137.5 lifetime sacks, 471 tackles. 1997, he was a sack leader. Again, 6-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowl, and 2010 made the Hall of Fame. John Randall has been and will continue to be one of the greatest athletes for Minnesota, but also for the game of football. But he does a lot of community work as well. And today we're going to focus in a little bit on John Randall's career, but also what is going on in Minnesota. I've been a Viking fan for decades now, and I can't figure it out. I can't figure out why we've never won a Super Bowl. There's my fandom. This is my time to bring the fandom and my clinical work together, but I can't do it by myself. So I had to bring in a colleague of mine who's a mental strength coaching and coach and author, and she's from Minnesota. And one of her goals is to bring a Super Bowl to Minnesota as well, because I think she's a lifelong Viking fan, but she does a lot of amazing clinical work. So let's bring in Stacy Goodrich onto the show here. She's a Viking person, but she also has done so many great things in her community, but also reaching out to so many athletes and kind of helping them along the way to kind of get rid of that mental block. Stacy, welcome to our show here.
Hi, Steve. Thanks so much for having me. Watching those tapes was like, oh, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
So,
is it delayed?
A little delayed, yes, a little delayed.
Okay. Okay. So, what was great about watching, it just brought back a memory of being him when I was younger. And we used to watch the game, and then we would go out and play Two Sisters, and it's so bring those memories back.
Now, John Randle has been a Hall of Fame player, and the Vikings have had many, many great years, but sometimes they end up in heartache, and a lot more often than you would think. And as a Vikings fan, you know, I've seen 4 Super Bowls, I've seen 4 Super Bowl losses, I've seen playoff losses, I've seen missed field goals, I've seen fumbles, I've seen interceptions. All along the way, we've never won the big game. So, Stacy, I ask you, why is that? Why has the Vikings never, ever won the Super Bowl? Is it a curse? Is it the coaching? Do they choke? What is going on with these Vikings, not just this year, but it seems like every year? I think we're having some technical problems with Stacy's connection here. So I don't know if Stacy, you can hear me, but what we're going to do is she just signed off. So what we're going to do, John Randle played a game in 1998. The Vikings were 15-1 in that year. They were destined to go to the Super Bowl. Being from New York, I couldn't afford a Super Bowl ticket to get to Florida in Miami that year, 1998. So I decided to go to Minnesota because they were going to win. They were going to win the NFC Championship game and then get to the Super Bowl. They were 15-1. Randall Cunningham was at quarterback. They had Randy Moss, the receiver. John Randle was the key to the defense. They had Robert Smith. They had a loaded team. Dennis Green was the coach. We just knew that the Vikings were going to the Super Bowl that year. And again, something happened along the way, and John Randle was part of that big defensive team during that year. But let's go back in time to 1998 and show everybody, remind people what happened. It all came down to Gary Anderson's kick. But let's check it out.
Atlanta timeout, and now they only have one. There's Evander Holyfield.
You know, we're talking about warriors and how Robert Smith has become a warrior, and how Randall Cunningham and that guy right there, Evander Holyfield, could be the definition of a warrior. You know, everyone think, you know, Mike Tyson is this, Tyson this, Tyson that, Tyson the toughest guy. This guy whipped Tyson twice. The last 2 times they fought. So I know a little about that warrior. I know a little about that other warrior that was in there, Art Shell. Shell played for me for a long time. He's in the Hall of Fame.
There's another one, Randall Cunningham.
Randall McDaniel. The job that Randall McDaniel's done in there and the fight, and they've all been warriors today, because you really have to lay it on the line. I mean, this is something, if you lose, there's no tomorrow. I mean, there's nothing to wait for. There's nothing, well, you know, we'll get them next week. We'll work on that on Wednesday.
3rd and long. 3rd and 6. DeLong in motion. Cunningham looking upfield. Has plenty of time. Chase fires out of bounds. No interception. That'll bring on Anderson.
Yeah, you see it and you go back, and I don't mean to second guess, but just kind of putting, you know, the way the game is played. If Minnesota makes this field goal here now, you know, they get the 10-point lead. Had Atlanta on that fourth down kicked the field goal, then this couldn't happen.
And Anderson hasn't missed in 2 years.
So that's a pretty good bet. If you say, do you think Gary Anderson will make this field goal? The answer should probably be yes.
39 yards away. And it's not good. 2:07 left. The Falcons have one timeout. They have the ball as Anderson misses. Pulled it left.
And Dan Reeves is happy with that one because he knows that he probably should have kicked the field goal last time down there.
Wow. You know what? I was sitting in the stands there, and I've seen so many people break down and cry, including myself. I knew I spent a lot of money getting to Minnesota. I spent a lot of money on that ticket. Just knew they were going to the Super Bowl. There was no doubt. Gary Anderson, he said it himself, hasn't missed a field goal in 2 years. Stacy, what happened there?
Well, he choked. Unfortunately.
He choked.
Right? And yeah. And it's unfortunate because he didn't, nobody wants to choke and nobody's consciously trying to sabotage themselves. And like you said, he hadn't missed a kick in 2 years. And unfortunately, what happens is, when we're mentally connected to our body, we're able to just do what we know we can do. But there's a certain moment in time where all of a sudden the mind can throw in a thought, what if I don't make it? What if I don't win the game? There's always a thought that can get what I call in our A circle and kick us out of our body. And when that happens, when our mind and body get disconnected, all kinds of things get between our mind and our body. And then those thoughts, that energy, those ideas then are controlling us and running the show. And no longer are we able to then manage our behavior in a way that we want to. So that's simply what a mental block is.
So you mentioned the phrase A circle. Talk about that to our viewers a little bit if that's the first time they ever heard that.
Yeah, everybody has an A circle, a B circle, and a C circle. And whatever is in your A circle is what's making decisions for you or what's running the show for you in that situation. So and whatever's in your B circle or whoever's in your B circle are people or things that support you to make a decision, or they can influence your decisions, but they're not making it for you. And C circles is everything else outside of that, or everything else that doesn't matter. And what happens is, think about what's in your A circle. I mean, think of us as Viking fans, what's in our A circle. We've got a lot of pain, a lot of, we're constantly questioning, are we going to be able to kick it? We're just like passive aggressive fans, right? Most of us, if we lose a game like that, we're taking off every Viking clothing that we're taking everything down off the walls because we're so upset, because it's so frustrating. But what happens is when they have things in their A circle that are not positive, a negative thought, what if I don't, what if I lose my job? What if the coach, what if I don't make it? What happens is those thoughts are controlling us. They are managing, they're running the show instead of us. And that's what happens when people choke. It's a thought that gets in our way of us being able to do what we want to do.
So I guess your job in the work that you do is to really focus in on each person's A circle so they keep everything securely within that circle, correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, let's say, Brett Favre and Kirk Cousins, they have different things that are going on in their A circle at any given time that are running the show. And Brett Favre is one of those guys who has called a goal beyond a goal mentality. He's not necessarily equal to the result in his mind. He doesn't care if he throws an interception. He doesn't get really, he wants to throw a touchdown pass and he'll celebrate that, but he's not equal to it. He'll get right back up and go, all right, now what do I got to do? So goal beyond the goal mentality can be really helpful to keep connected to what we need to do in the moment, to move through that moment successfully, to move into the next thing that we want to do. That would be helpful for our Vikings individually, especially for our kicker last weekend. If he had a goal beyond the goal, that would have been able to help him mentally stay in his body through that kick to be more successful. He just left his body. That's what happened. He got a thought in his A circle, he left his body, and he wasn't able to manage that situation.
So in that, you know what? Let's check out the videotape because it kind of looks eerily similar to what Gary Anderson did. And as Viking fans, we've seen this over and over again. But let's check out what happened last Sunday and what you're talking about, Stacy.
Good step. Lead home for the win. Unbelievable. And the Cardinals survive. 34, 33. You're watching the NFL, folks.
Heartbreaking. So that's another choke job, right?
And I know you say heartbreaking, but I was annoyed.
Annoyed. So tell us why you were annoyed. Yeah. I mean, I know Viking fans get annoyed, and people, when you lose that way, get annoyed too. But how do we change this? What needs to be done? And we were hoping to get John Randle on because he's been a catalyst for the Vikings for so many years. He's a Hall of Famer, and maybe real soon we'll get him on live. But how do we break this cycle? What needs to be done?
Well, John Randle had an amazing mentality about him. If you remember him playing, like the one guy said in the video, he had a chip on his shoulder. He was undrafted, and he that was like a really natural goal beyond the goal. I'm gonna go after it. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm made out of. And he had a natural goal beyond the goal mentality that kept him in his body. It kept him focusing on what he needed to do to reach that goal of being successful in the NFL. So we got to learn from him. That's a goal beyond the goal mentality. Everybody could use a way to go after something that aligns with them, that they want, to create a legacy for themselves the way John Randle did. He did an excellent job, and we all can relate to his mentality and his ability to just, kind of be a little bit intimidating by the people he was playing against. He was amazing to watch because of that. You knew he was talking all the time.
Right. So, I mean, we just saw the kicker for the Vikings missed that field goal. So what is needed for this team to turn things around? I mean, obviously, they have a strong coaching staff. They have strong personnel. They have, these are Viking fans that continue to see us losing all the time. And it's heartbreaking or it's annoying. No matter how you look at it, it's a loss is a loss is a loss. But what do we have to do to turn things around? Because you and I are not inside the Vikings personnel, not yet. But how do we have to turn things around? What do the Vikings need to do to create a winning atmosphere or a situation where mentally they're stronger?
Well, they need to know that there's a solution for the mental limitations that they're experiencing. They need to know that there is a way for them to manage those situations that in the past took them by surprise, and so that they know how to manage not choking, so that they know how to use their mind to connect to their body and have a strategy to wrap their head around their ability. So many of the guys, they get to the NFL by basically doing it. They don't have to think about what they're doing because they're so talented. And then they get to the NFL and they're like, wow, they don't have a way to manage their mentality in a way that can maximize their physical potential to play their sport and to play their role. And so that's an easy way to get connected to their body. Adam Thielen has done an amazing job at that because he didn't just get there by accident. He had to learn how to manage best. One player does an amazing mentally at playing the game. And that's what we need more of for the Vikings. They need to know that they have a solution. They need to know that there is a way to manage themselves better. They need to know that their talent is important and we can map those resources into their game so that they can really go after the outcome that they want. We are tired as Minnesota Vikings fans of playing to not lose. We want to play to win. And I know how to teach them how to play to win. And that's what we need.
Right. Well, that's a book cover. And I know you have, I've been reading your book. I want to thank you so very much. There's the first edition, and then we have book number 2. I know you're working, you have a children's book. You have another book coming along the way. So these books are really detailed, and it's almost like your self-journal. You go page by page, and it kind of forces you to really focus in about the mentality that you're trying to get out there. So I want to commend you, first of all, for the work that you've already done, but I think you have way, way more work to do.
Oh, I am so passionate about eliminating mental blocks. From when my daughter came home from practice and couldn't do her back walk over on the beam, I knew I had to find a solution for her to manage that situation. And then when I started realizing that the Vikings need the same thing that all athletes need is a way to manage their mind, to support their body, a way to manage their A circle so that those pressure situations don't get in their way of knowing what to do in those situations. I know those are the things that I'm passionate about, because whether you're my daughter who wants to do gymnastics at a Division I college, or whether you're the Minnesota Vikings who I know want to win a Super Bowl, I'm just all for putting it out there and doing my part and taking ownership of the fact that I have a solution for the things that they have going on, and I can support that.
Wow, I mean, that's amazing work that you've already done. I know you work with so many people day after day, athletes, to kind of get them through difficult times or challenges that they're facing. So I want to thank you for all that work you've done. And I think the goal beyond the goal, is get the Vikings on board so they can kind of understand to develop a solution instead of tormenting around and around in this vicious cycle and not knowing, just complaining about it, but to develop solutions like you're suggesting.
Yeah, it can't be easy to go 2 games in a row this season. We've all experienced it. The fans are not easy on them when this happens. And I have a lot of compassion for that. But on the other side of it, I know they just want a solution. I know they want to be able to connect the dots for themselves individually. And then as a team, they will be unstoppable. And we can do it.
So if you had to reach out to John Randle, we apologize he couldn't come on today. He's at an event in New York. If you had to reach out to John Randle, what would you tell him right now?
We need to talk. We need to talk. I love his mentality. I can see why he was so good. I can understand it, and I can other people. And I would however, if you would have said to me when I was a little girl playing football with my dad at the halftime show that I would be able to talk to John Randle, what a great opportunity, and I look forward to it.
Well, we certainly get that done real soon. But Stacey, real quick, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, there's my website, www.so-connected.com. And I have a group called Athletes Who Said More. And I do live things on there all the time. You can get to know me on there. You can private message me anytime. Let's go. Let's go, Vikes.
Thank you so much, Stacy Goodrich. I'm sure we're going to team up and do some great things together. But I want to thank Mike Dempsey for setting things up with John Randall. I mean, Mike Dempsey is a Earth angel. First of all, after 9/11, he works for Ken Fitzgerald, and he's been organizing so many fundraisers for 20 years. He is with outstanding people, including John Randall. So I want to thank Mike Dempsey for all the hard work that you do, man. I appreciate you. You're a good friend, and you have a great cause and great passion to help others. But to take us home today, we're going to go back in time and see John Randall's Hall of Fame speech in 2010. God bless, Stacy. Take care.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Teerlink presenting John Randall.
Wow. Well, it's too late. You can't take it back now. I'm here. I'm in. First of all, I want to thank John Teerlink for presenting me here today and for motivating me, focusing me, and all of my energy on the game that I love. I also want to say, John, thank you for believing I could play and excel in the National Football League, even though I wasn't drafted or didn't play for a major school. And also, thank you for showing me what sometimes I didn't see in myself. Also, I want to thank my hometown, Mumford, Texas. Population 150. I also want to thank Hearn, Texas, where I went to high school. Also, I'd like to thank Keith Waters, who many of you may not know, but Keith coached me at Trinity Valley Community College. He also convinced me at a time to continue with my dream of playing football when I was uncertain about college and my future. He also encouraged me to go to Texas A&I. With their rich winning tradition, and thank you also for all my college teammates at Texas A&I. Thank you, guys. Next, I'd like to thank the Minnesota Vikings, a team that believed in me, gave me a chance to play defensive line when most teams thought I was undersized and I wasn't going to make the team. Also, a lot of credit goes to my teammates at the Vikings and also the Seattle Seahawks, and especially my teammates when I first got in the league, such guys as Henry Thomas, Chris Dolman, and Randall McDaniel. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys, for taking me on your wing and showing me the way. I also like to thank Jerry Burns, Freddie Zamorletti, for seeing something in me and also believing that I could make the team. I also want to thank Dennis Ryan, the head equipment guy for the Minnesota Vikings, for finding a shoulder pad that was fit this small body. I also like to thank the fans for those days when I thought I'd given my all and had nothing left to give. You may not believe this, but those days when I believed that I couldn't go on, I didn't have the strength to continue, you gave me the strength to play hard, practice hard, and to go out there and play 100% in every play. I also like to thank my two big brothers, Dennis and Irvin Randall. Thank you for letting me follow you around Mumford, Texas when we were growing up. And I also like to thank my mom, who's no longer here, but she was a woman who raised 3 boys by herself with very little money. Thank you, Mom. I love you. Now, I also like to thank my loving family, my wife Candace, who's my strength and my best friend, my kids who are my pride and joy. I also want to thank my whole family in Texas and my new one in Minnesota for being on this journey with me, and also for helping me believe in myself and continue after football. I also am so humbled by this incredible honor, which I never thought was possible. So thank you to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, everyone who played a part and elected me for making this small town kid dream come true. Thank you.